I'm sure we'll have fun over the next 3 days. Just a couple of pieces of information. Tonight, of course, we're having dinner across the street. And if you, well, we can't look at it, but it's the street over the next one. And 100 yards down is the Red Onion. And that's where we'll be having dinner. How many of you will not be attending dinner tonight? One, two. All right, you got that? How many of you are bringing your better halves? Oh, count them, please.
We're going to fill it.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe. All right, got that? I think we're set on that score, so we're all set. What's that?
Restrooms?
Beg pardon?
The restrooms?
Oh, the restroom is just around the corner. You go out the corridor, turn left, and you find the restroom. When the library officially opens, they will close that door, so you'll have to go in and around, all right, for the restrooms. And that, I think, takes care of it. Now, if you didn't know this, the commissariat is my son David and his wife Gina, all right? And of course, it's a delight to have both George and Matt here. They're over at the corner. They're the brains behind all this good stuff. And so we'll hear from them, I'm sure, from time to time. Now, Chris White is at the back there. He will be doing a little piece tomorrow. And of course, his EdgeRater program dovetails with what I'm going to show you. Now, by way of giving you a flavor for what we have, I have put together over the past years 6 parts of this stuff. And you don't want to, and that's enough. So what I've done is part 7, which in fact gives you a summary of the previous 6 parts, all right? And of course, there's the best part of about 3 hours work there. But I'm going to trot you through it. But please, when you go home, make sure that you understand those 6 parts in detail, because they back all this stuff up. And this is the plucking of what's most important for you to get a flavor for how Woodward at least thinks. And of course, to give you the backdrop in terms of the software itself. All right, so let's get started. My whole work is built on 3 masters. You'll find I'm a guy who works in 3s, as I'll explain in a moment. And here are my 3. I started with William O'Neill, then moved to John Bollinger, and then Richard Arms. And as you can see, these are the key pieces surrounding these people. And of course, there's all this mumbo jumbo that you will get a flavor for as we move along. But in essence, what I give you is an assessment of fear and greed in the market. You know the 2 extremes. You know how to play the middle, for Pete's sake. It's the question of when you get to the 2 extremes. How do you manage your money at that point in time? So let's move on. And here you are, William O'Neill, ERG, and MMM. Market, market, market. That's what you got to have. Box 7 stocks, you'll know this in spades by the time you're finished. Box stocks. The high jump, which is how far has the stock moved from its 200-day moving average. As simple as that. And of course, the percentage O score will cover all of this in terms of earnings and revenue momentum. Then with Bollinger, it's the question of percent B, and it's 1-day change. Kahunas and bingos and so on and so forth. It's all language that you will understand in a week when I take you through it. And finally, there's Richard Arms in terms of Eurekas and Phoenix. How many of you are Gil Morales' followers? Keep it up, keep it up, keep it up, keep it up. Oh, quite a few of you. All right? So he'll be here this afternoon at 2:30. And of course, he'll give you his flavor of what he has plucked out of the software And you're going to find that on his secret weapon charts, he uses the likes of Eureka and Phoenix and Kahunas. So remember that. Those are extremely important, as you will see. And all you got to know is, do you see a signal or don't you? To confirm or deny where the market stands at this point in time. Enough of all this, let's move on. So here's the agenda. I'm going to give you the introduction in terms of all of these things. What's in it for you? Investor types, which we'll cover in a minute, the concept of investing and the top-down investing. Thinking inside the box in terms of the likes of what the big O, as I call him affectionately, O'Neill, taught me. Excuse me. Erg, 9-box matrix, and New America. Estimating targets for extended stocks in terms of black spot disease and rust, and the high jump tool. I'm a great believer in using terms like this. You understand it all. All right. All right. So the ball game has changed. In one word, it's volatility. And of course, this is what's caused it. And you understand the business in terms of world chaos. I mean, the internet has shrunk this world. I mean, look at what happened only the other day. Draghi came on and says, hey, we're going to do something more by way of blah, 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 blah. And the next thing is, the market has gone up 2% in a week. All right? That's the influence of world chaos. Well, it wasn't chaos, but at any rate, changes that happen in a second. Net, the times have changed. The question is, have you become accustomed to understanding that change so that at least you're not caught with your pants down? All right, next slide. And here, by way of a reminder, Dennis was chatting with me and he said, Ian, I got a chart for you. Look, this piece was in 1956. What is it? It's a 5 megabyte memory storage in 1956. Can you believe that? 5 megabytes? I mean, here you are, you've got an 8 gigabyte thing in your folders today that you're using at the seminar. And look at this down there. So, have you changed? Have you changed in terms of understanding the mechanics of how this market is behaving? We're going to show you that. And by heavens, the recent work that George and Matt have put into the product with Ron, giving them flavor for what's needed, you're going to be streets ahead by the time these next 3 days are over. All right, enough of that. Next slide. When I was a little boy, I loved playing snakes and ladders. I used to play it for my father, my mother, my sister, and myself. And of course, don't play snakes and ladders with your money. I would invariably throw the dice, and I would land here, and I'd shoot up there, and then I'd give it to my, thank you so much, David. And I'd turn to my sister, who was 6 years my younger, and she would throw the dice, and she'd come along around about here, and trot up to there. And the very next thing is that I throw the dice again, and down I'd come on the pulling stake. And there'd be a big laugh and a hooray. But that's it. Don't play snakes and ladders with your money. Of course, coming from jolly old England, it was snakes and ladders. Over here, when you were youngsters, it was shoots and ladders. All right, same thing. Next slide. All right, what's in it for you? We're going to teach you how to make more money. Keep the money you make is the important piece, and have some fun in the next 3 days. I'm a great believer in terms of solving problems in threes. They're either red, yellow, green, black, white, or gray, up market, down market, sideways market, etc., etc. Simple stuff. And of course, what you find is that the basics of what George and Matt have put together is in terms of 3 pieces. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. There's the strategy piece, which I call the warehouse and the filters. There's the process in terms of charting and design. And of course, we have the tools by way of the ranking module. E is for EPS rank, R is for relative strength, and G is for group rank. So, what I've done in a week is to take canceling, which is where I've got my foundation with O'Neill, 7 letters. I can name that tune in 3 notes, E, R, and G. That's all you got to know. EPS rank, relative strength, and group rank. And they're 100%. So what's the rule of thumb? 80 plus 80 plus 80. Anything that's 80 or above is strong. So 240 for ERG is where you want to be and above, essentially. We'll teach you all that. Keep it simple, folks. Keep it simple. Rules of thumb. Put the odds in your favor, and you got to know the what, the why, the when, the how, and most importantly, so what? Is it telling you anything of value? You got to get the value out of it. All right. So that, in a nutshell, are the themes throughout this seminar. Next slide. And look, I'm not going to bother you with all this stuff, but in essence, you can understand this, that there is a fundamental approach and a technical approach. And what we've done is to marry the two together. You have the value investing with momentum investing, and we give you the best of both, which is HGSI investing, which is 2 types. You have stocks that are chop, 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 in other words, big movers, fast movers, small cap, high growth stocks, and then there are mattress stuffers, those that you know so well. They're the IBMs, the Intels, the Apples of this world that have come and have seen their glory days, but are still strong. Mattress stuffers that you can depend on. All right? And the net result is that out of all of this, we in fact show you where the best stocks are. You're going to learn all that in 5 minutes. Next slide. So what's the concept? It's like taking a long journey by car. You need gas in the tank. You've got to have some earnings, strong earnings. Oil in the engine for revenue. Tune-up, improving earnings and revenue. Bright weather, a strong market with the wind at your back. Wind in your face, disgrace. Get out, move to the sidelines. Obviously, fast roads, the right industry groups, we call them wolf packs. If you're in a wolf pack, they're trotting. And that's the essence of what this product will show you. Where is the best opportunities now, today? A roadmap, the high, middle, and low road scenarios. Good brakes, good money management. You better know what you're doing, and a reliable driver. Those 2 are the most important, of course. That's you. Next slide. All right, so we're going to the concept of top-down investing. You can look at all this at your leisure. It's all there in terms of what we're going to cover. But the most important is the market and your stomach. There are 40 people in this room. Every single one of us has a different stomach. By that I mean how you behave in relation to the market. Don't ever forget it. Excuse me. Next slide. Now, I broke it down into 4 types. There are 4 types of investor in this room. Type 1, these are moment traders. Type 2, essentially a few days to a week. Type 3, longer term. In other words, several months, hopefully a year or 2. And then type 4, the long-term buy and hold investors. All right? Now, I've done this for 20 years, gone around the country, talking to people like yourselves, newbies. Show me who are the newbies. Newbies are those who are attending this for the first time or haven't been here in a long time. Show me your hands. I got to keep them up. I got to see where they are. Yeah, okay. I'm coming after you. By the way, if you don't believe it, let me show you. Here's my 2x4. Brother Paul made this for me 20 years ago. All right, and so, see that? But by heavens, that's the thing you need. All right. So, all right, how many of you are type 1s in this room? One. Good man. How many of you don't admit that you're type 1? What about type 2s? In other words, a week through a few days into a week.
How about 2.5?
Yeah, we got a second hand. No more, 3, 4, okay. All right. What about the swing traders, you know, intermediate? Of course.
2.5.
Now look, I've done this for 20 years, all right? And you saw the hands go up. Same answer from the first day that I asked that question. 70 to 80% of the room, type 3s. What about type 4s? 1 or 2 or 3, any more? Yeah, of course. Sure. When the market will let you do that, buy and hold. Fred is here, by heavens, he knows that in spades, and has done that for all his life, and has stood it well. All right, but essentially, I'm going to focus on type 3s, and of course, we will swing back up in here accordingly. Next slide. And there's a picture of what we do by way of calibrating the market in us. Ron and I are primarily type 3 and type 4s. But of course, with the product that we have now, my heavens, it's worth its weight in gold. And we have in fact swung down at times to being type 2s. Excuse me, it's difficult to be type 1s. It's not my stomach, and not most of yours. But essentially, type 2 and type 3 and 4. All right, next slide. Now, tops down approach is what we use. Why? 70%. 70% are the market's account for the movement in the stock price and group. 40 plus 30 is 70, maybe even more, 80%. The stock itself is only worth 20 to 30% of the movement. Yes, of course, you'll have cha-cha-cha stocks that will rise and rise rapidly, but by and large, it's dependent on these two. So we've got to understand the markets first, then the groups that the stocks are in, or as we call them, wolf packs, and finally the stocks. So that's the approach that we take. Top down. Next slide. And here we are, look, top down, key markets, indices in a nutshell. This you understand. It was in the newsletter. How many of you take the newsletter? Yeah, all right, good. All right, so this was in the newsletter, and I'm going to show you the update on this. This is just a week old. My heavens, these are all into new high territory now at this point in time. And as you can see, of course, by the way, these charts, if you didn't know it, are 20-day charts. That's 20 days. So you can see that inside 18 days, this market has risen up into new highs at this point in time. Wibbly wobbly is a thing of the past, and we are into new high territory on most indices. You will find the key thrust of my point. What does Woodward think? It's right there or down here. So those are the only two places you need to look. Next slide. And here you are. Look what's happened. We had that flash crash that I'll talk to. And of course, it's bounced and it's bouncing back up now. Next slide. See, you didn't think I could get through it this fast, eh? Did you? All right. Now look at this. Note that the high jump gives the earliest warning sign to sell. All right. What do I mean by the high jump? Here's the 200-day moving average. All right. And notice when it cuts, when the stock, or in this case the NASDAQ, gets away from the 200-day moving average, it corrects. So there's a move up and then there's the down. Then you have some fakies by way of correcting itself, and off we go. And down again we come, because of course it's got up from its high jump. And you're going to learn all that. But look at the key thing down here while and this is all you need to know. I'll be covering it again, but here's the gist of it. Look, you have a eureka and two kahunas or three kahunas. And off we go. You have a kahuna and an early buy, eureka, and off you go. And there's these fakies, and there it is again. I don't need to repeat myself, but you got the idea. That's what Gil Morales has latched onto. He's got it. He understands it. And that's what we'll be showing you. In the meantime, look at all this stuff. You say, oh, yeah, I can't be bothered. No! All you got to worry about is green, yellow, or red. And look at it. Sell, sell. The rest is green. Get on with it. So that's how you attack the market. It's that quick feel for where you sit. Next slide. Mattress stuffers. We'll be showing you this. Ron has got this in spades. If you are of that kind that like to see a little bit of yield and, of course, solid earnings, which stock over all these years, since first I learned from O'Neill, is the one that has solid earnings, quarter after quarter, year after year. Well, it stubbed its toe the other day, last quarter. But Abbott's Lab, you've heard of that. 10, 12, 14% a quarter for 20 years or more. That's the kind of stock for those who attack for investors. All right? Here's Home Depot. Happen to be the one. The cha-cha-cha mattress stuffer. LLUR. A lower left to upper right. In other words, a stock that goes climbing up like this, all the way. That's what you want. You can find them right here. Next slide. Here it is. Look at it. There it is. Look. Couldn't be better. And what? It went from about 50 to 72. That's 22 out of 50. 40% in a matter of a year. You take that. Beautiful LLUR mattress stuffer. All right. All this you're going to learn in these next 3 days. Next slide. And here it is, in a nutshell. So you take all of that mumbo jumbo, and I said, I've got it. Come up with a 9-box matrix. And here it is. Look at the date, 1992. All right? And what I said is, it's simple. There are stocks that will have a quarterly earnings ratio of 100%, 50 to 100%. 25 to 50%. And annual earnings, likewise, 15 to 25, 25 to 50, and 50%, greater than 50. It's the rule of 72. When I came here to the States, I had $10,000. I had money back at home, but I had $10,000. And in those days, what did I get? 4% from the bank. 4%? You can't get 1% now. But at any rate, 4%. What does the rule of 72 tell you? It's simple. It would take me 18 years to double my money. Divide 72 by 4. 18 years. You can't retire waiting for 18 years. Even if I was 30 at that time, 28, all right? Just think of it. I'd be able to do 3 times 18. Three times. So my 10,000 would go to 20,000, would go to 40,000, would go to 80,000. You think on $80,000, that 80,000 would buy me a house here and sitting in sunny Palace Villas? No, no way. You have to have some money at risk. That's the answer. You gotta be in stocks that will give you some far better earnings momentum. And here are stocks that will double in 1 year, approximately. 50 and greater than 100% over the last 2 quarters, that's 72. And there's the rule of thumb. And this is double in 2 years, and this is double in 3. And that's your diamond that you play in. And, of course, there are mattress stuffers that have now come over the hill, and they are, in fact, the consistent turtles, box 10. And last but not least, don't forget it, there's a point in time that you should be in all cash. Of course, that's box 11. Simple stuff. All right? Now, given that as a format, let's look at what happened back then. Next slide. There it is. You can look at all the detail, but here are some box one stocks at that point in time. And of course, you're certainly familiar with Cisco Systems. It was a box one stock back then. Why? Because it had an annual earnings of 126%, and its current earnings were 100 and 105. So what did it have by way of a gain at that point in time? 74%. Look at the numbers. All right, here's box 1, 2, 3. Microsoft was sitting over here, and so on and so forth. There wasn't any box 8s, fine. But get your BDIs down here. What is this? This is box 7. What's box 7? They're the new America. They're the new companies that are coming up. The Facebooks of this world, right? Now Twitter trying to do its thing. You name it, those kinds of stocks. All right, they're down here. All right, so in a nutshell, there's the percentage gains. Next slide. Now look at this. Moving forward, 1998 to 99, Cisco Systems had moved from a box 1 to a box 3. Here's Dell Computer, Microsoft, and Amgen was practically out the door. Box 9 at that point. Look at Amgen in terms of his recent performance. Trotting again. Those are the stocks that you want to buy. Look at this 27 example stocks out of 190. The average 67% movement. Rule of 72. If you can get 67%, to all intents and purposes, you're doubling your money in 1 year between friends. Even if it's 2 years, who cares? That's plenty. Be in, take the ride, and get out. Next slide. And here, my good friends that used to work with me and meet in this very room 20 years ago, well, 1998 and 99, he was a good soul who kept a log of people in this room who met once a month, sitting in here. And on the Saturday, we would identify so many stocks that we should buy, and he would buy them on Monday and sell them on 20 days later or 40 days later. And here's what he found over the period of time that he kept the history. Look, in strong markets, you could make 106%. In weak markets, heaven help you. Don't sit there, do something. And notice the difference between 20 and 40 days. To all intents and purposes, for the types of stocks that give you that momentum, you should be out within 30 days on average. And certainly you could take them longer if the wind is at your back. Attack! But heaven help you if you're fighting the wind, because there's grace. This is the most important chart in the whole presentation. In the whole presentation, if you understand that, you understand fear and greed. You've got it then, and that's what we teach you. Next slide. And here, look, plenty of statistics to prove that you should be in stocks that have high earnings. The net of all of this is that the winners outweigh the losers by a 4 to 1, and 2 to 1 in percentage gains, and the losers are just the reverse. So buy stocks that primarily have high earnings. Now that was what we were able to teach back then. But now with the insights of what HGSI has, by heavens, you can work with stocks that have high earnings and high relative strength, but rotten group rank. The group has been trashed, but is now coming back. So you can modulate over all this work that we did 20 years ago. Times have changed. Have you? Is the question. So your best chances for success are with ERG greater than 210, up around here, but don't go any lower than ERG 180, unless of course there's a good reason to in fact only work with the group rank, and that's what we call wolf packs. And Ron will be showing you that in spades in a minute. Next slide. So in effect, what are HCS rockets? They provide high profits quickly, have high earnings and revenue momentum. They're leaders on the accumulation. They have tight chart patterns that are properly based. Strong market would win that you back, and stock selections in strong sectors and industry groups. And you got it. The essential ingredients for the yellow brick road. All right. Next slide. Strong and balanced stocks are key. How do we find the winning candidates quickly? And so we'll show you the next piece. Next slide. And here it is. How to find them quickly. Balanced stocks with high little overhead supply, 9-box matrix, turnaround box set of stocks, top-down investing sectors, and modulating with the market rally. And in essence, E, R, and G. All right? And let's take a look at that. Next slide. So how do we arrive at estimating targets for extended stocks? You got to understand when stocks have got too extended, well, they're doomed or they're ripe for failure. So the rules of thumb for percentage up from the moving average, the high jump tool, which I'm going to teach you, and estimating the high jump targets and easily in HGSI. There's a piece that I've done right at the end where Chris White has in fact come up with a nice table, and we'll show you that, and I'll repeat it when he's up and talking tomorrow, which shows you what the high jump is for the NASDAQ, or you can do it for any index, and give you those yardsticks in terms of where to look. Next slide. The high jump, all right? 25 years old and still going strong. It measures the extension of a security from its 1750 and 200-day moving average. Past history will show you the higher and highest relative to now. All right. Next slide. My dear wife, this is dedicated to her, as I'm sure you all know, and thank you now that you're here. Thank you for your words of sympathy. She passed away, excuse me, dear oh dear, still got a bit of a cough. 3 months ago, but nonetheless, this is as fresh as it was back then. And we call it black spot disease and rust. She loved her roses. And I was preparing for a big presentation, my first, as a matter of fact, with an audience like you in Orlando, Florida. And she came in from the garden, and she said in a very, you know, I don't want to say stern voice, Ian, our roses have black spot disease. So nothing. Take notice. What is that? Yes, yes. On the back of the roses, the leaves, there was the black spot disease. Well, I'm you know, cutting time frame down. But then a few days later, she trots in and she says, our roses have rust. And I said, is that worse? Yes, she said. Rust is worse than black spot disease. So it didn't take me long to say our stocks have black spot disease and rust. And here are the 2 yardsticks. You don't ever forget this 1 yardstick. You see, I've given you the parameters here. When, in fact, the stock is 100% or greater above the 200-day moving average, that is when the big guys begin to take profits. You got to watch the big guys. They know when it's time to take some money off the table. 100%, greater than 100% is rust on the 200-day moving average. And now you've netted it all out for you. That's all you got to remember. And it's a quick, ready reckoning to measure extension. And the fund managers will invariably reduce holdings. There it is. All right, black spot disease and rust. Next slide. And here it is. Look, we have all this in as a chart right off HGSI. But it's simple. Look, here is the high jump. And what is the high jump? It is in fact measuring the distance of the 200, the 50 and 17-day moving averages. And there it is. And in this particular case, it says 24% is the highest, 16% is higher, and about 12% is high. So those are your yardsticks. And if it's any more than that, heaven help you. You know full well you're going to be in trouble. And simple stuff. It's not difficult. Good rules of thumb. 10, 12, 16% from the 200-day. You got it. Next slide. Brother Dennis and I did this years ago. And heaven help us, we sweated us out. But there's the story. And what are you looking at, Ian? Well, it's simple. Look, the market will turn around when, in fact, 70% of the time, 71% of the time, on the NASDAQ. Oops, I'm running out of. Where's David? David! Yeah. I need another pointer, old buddy. Here. Warrior, wow. I'm loud. I've been all excited here. When you're screaming at David. Oh, David. Oh, this is the beast I lost. You know, how many of you were here last March? Hey, come on. Hey, I tell you, keep a beady eye on me. I was sitting in this chair and I fell off and fainted. And when I woke up, there were 6 doctors from this room all around me. That's all I saw was 6 doctors. Boy, I tell you, turned out to be dehydrated, and that's all. But I spent the night in hospital. And I won't be dehydrated again, I tell you.
Yeah, I thought that's why David put you in this chair.
That's right.
Armchair.
Armchair. That's right. All right, anyway, I lost my big old pointer. But there you are. Thank you so much. 71% of the time, the market will correct 8% and go back again, go up again. 71%. Heaven help you once it gets any worse than 8%. Look, it can fall anywhere, anywhere. Here's a bear market, for Pete's sake, and for heaven's sake, this is awful stuff. Excuse me. You're out of here if, in fact, you have a flash crash. And that's what we're going to talk about today. You're going to see that stuff in spades. Next slide. All right, and that's my story for now, the house that Woody built. Let's see if we've got a next slide.
Yep.
Oh, not bad. Hey, that's all right, isn't it? Brother Ron doesn't even know it. Is it Ron's turn? He's not there. We'll carry on. We'll carry on, Dennis. Okay. All right, let's do Bollinger. He's taking a break. Thinking outside the box. Building on Bollinger, the Woody indicator. Let me give you Bollinger very quickly. Next slide. All right, we know the market goes in cycles, all right? The usual business of optimism to euphoria and down to despondency and out of here. But that's not the picture. The problem is the next slide. It gets more like this. This is what kills you. All right, here, there's old Mike McDonald. We can do the Highland fling. All right, right here. Rubbing your hands and enjoying yourself up here. But heaven help you when you get to these unstable markets. It leads to, this business. Black spot disease and rust. And heaven help you. You cannot be detached from the pulse of the market if you expect to win. So we understand that. Next slide. All right, and here's how I netted out Bollinger. Just this one chart out of his whole book told me where to look and why this was so important to us. Bollinger said that 89% of stocks sit between 2 standard deviations. And of course, in the days of wine and roses when I was at Faraday House, I learned all this mumbo jumbo. And of course, he calls these fat tails of fear and greed. And that's it. All you got to know is that when it's all out beyond 2 standard deviations, that then you're sitting at greed or you're in fear. And it's the extremes where most money is made and lost. So if in fact you can leverage his percent P and bandwidth formula formulas to establish what I call bullseye. Now you're there, you're home free, you know exactly where you're sitting in terms of the market, what the market is telling you. Next slide. And this is what I came up with. It's simple. Bollinger, fortunately, goes between 0 and 1. And as you know, for percent B, there is that one bucket which is below 0, less than 0, and greater than 1. So if I take these from 0 to 1 and split them into 10 pieces, there's 10 buckets. Add one more for above 1 and one more for below 1, and I've got 12 buckets. And of course, knowing me, I divide them by 3. So the 4 lowest, the middle 4, and the upper 4. When they're in the upper 4, play till the cows come home. When they're in the middle 4, you got to know whether you're coming from the bottom or you're coming down from the top. It's as simple as that. And heaven help you if you're fiddling around when you're down at the bottom. And that's all. It's as simple as that. And so here's where we have a little kahuna, where in fact I said 0.24 up. In other words, 2.4 buckets up. You know, if I was doing this again, I'd use 2 buckets. But it's 2.4, all right? And big kahuna is 4 buckets up. Well, my heavens, that's a big move. That's at least 2%, 3%, 2.5% up on any one day on the NASDAQ. So if you have a 2.5% up day in the NASDAQ, as we had 2 days ago, for Pete's sake, you sit up and take note. Excuse me. And likewise on the downside. Morales has hopped onto this. He understands, you know, the business of the percent B. That's it. That's a biggie. The kahuna, both up and down, is extremely important to understanding the pulse of the market. Next slide. And look, when I saw this, I said, oh no, how on earth can I make anything out of this? And then I looked again and I said, yeah, look, I'm looking at the NASDAQ and the S&P 1500, blue and red. Look at it. Identical, 2 different markets, the NASDAQ and the 1500, and they're identical. So I said, there's got to be a pony in here. And that is consistency, momentum, and magnification. When you're up, and when you're down, heaven help you. So that was the basis of me concentrating on this percent B. Next slide. Brother Ron, I moved on one, all right? I'm covering this piece. I only went 40 minutes, if that, all right? Now, here you are. Here's your 12 buckets, as simple as that. All right? Panic and fear, caution, hope, or hope, and safe and thrill. Look at these. These are the places where you have greed. Heaven help you if you're enjoying champagne buckets greater than 1 for any length of time. So, panic. Sell when the market skips greater than 4 buckets down with a phoenix and kahuna, and buy when it skips 3 buckets up with the eureka and kahuna. It's as simple as that. You got it all in a nutshell with this one picture. All right, next slide. And here's good old grandma with her pies. And you can net it out that, of course, if it's 50-50 or 55-45, it's last call. And when it's 70-30, play because it's Greek key lime pie. And here you got that's the cherry pie when it's, you know, red. So that's grandma's pie. And of course, all of this is in HGSI. It's all there for you. Next slide. There it is. Use this to get a feel for how the market is behaving. Next slide. There's a dear lady who was here last time. She was one of the that I looked up, and she was there. Pat Turner. Great person. And she, I call my Goldilocks, because I was stuck with this stuff. But she was the cat's meow at Excel. And I threw the problem to her, and she found these golden threads, as it were, for me. And between her and Sherlock Holmes, who's sitting right here, who's Bob Meager, and myself, who's Rumpelstiltskin, we had a teamwork on this stuff. And I'm going to show you her work, and this is what's been covered in spades by Chris for me, and is my Bible in terms of what I shared with you. Next slide. And here it is. Look, here are the 12 buckets. Notice less than 0 and greater than 1. And here is, in fact, the last 2 or 3 months between friends. And what in effect it's showing is when it's down here, you're in the doldrums. And that's in fact when we had the most recent flash crash. And look, it took all this time to trot here. And how much is this? About a month. And how much is this? About a month. So the cycle is from up to down to up to down to up. That's it. In a matter of a wave like this, a month or so. And all of this, you can look at this in your leisure. But many thanks to her for her brilliant work, which now Chris has produced for me, and I can in fact keep you up to date in terms of all of this stuff. But you want to know the net of where are we now? Next slide. And there it is. Look, in the course of these last 15 or 18 days, we've trotted down from here to being up here. So what's expected from here? Obviously, it would seem, I say obviously, who the heck knows how they're going to manipulate the market? If you don't think this market is manipulated by the big guys, I'll eat my hat. But nonetheless, having said that, you know that when in fact it's been up on total of 16 days in a row between Federation, but it went down. For Pete's sake, as long as it's above 0.5, the market is trotting up. And it's sitting right here at this point in time. And as a matter of fact, this was as of 3 days ago, and I'm going to show you that with late breaking news in a moment in terms of where it sits now. But the question is, will the rally continue, or do we fall back to a triple bottom? And we'll see. We'll see. But at any rate, you know where you are now. Question of fear and greed. Next slide. And there's all the details in terms of bucket skipping, etc. 4 buckets, big kahuna down is a major warning. Next slide. So there it is in a nutshell. Kahunas and bucket skipping. Tells you a percent B, a 1-day change, is tantamount to 2+ buckets. A percent B change of 0.4 is 4 buckets skipped. When all market indices skip buckets on the same day, it is time to take note of a change in the market trend. And there's the recipe, all right? We'll show you all this stuff. Next slide. And here as an example, you remember the pigs? Oh, Ian, who are the pigs? Portugal, Italy, Ireland, Greece, Spain. Back in 2011, look, you know the problems they had with Greece. Here, coming down. And here was the blooming bucket skip, right? And how did we know it? By the way, look, O'Neill taught me all I knew 20 years ago. But do you think I sat there? No. Why? Because I was with two New America companies. And I understood what it meant. And what did it mean to me when I was at, first of all, Univac and then at Xerox? Beat the competition. So having taught me the innards, I knew how I could build a better mousetrap. And that was to find ways by which I could build on what he had taught me, but do it simpler and, in fact, with more preciseness. Here's where IBD said, get out. And I said, no, you have 5 more days, a week at least, before, in fact, you need to do it. You needed to do it here, not here. And how did I know that? Right there! 5 buckets down on 727 was the answer. Get out, move! What was the biggest clue? And that was it. And I'll show you all this in time again. Thank heavens we had what's tantamount to a jolly old flash crash only back on August 25th. I'm showing you that. Okay, next slide. Don't ever forget it. This is one of the most important points in the whole presentation. 5 buckets up or down, or well, 4 buckets up is good enough to tell you get in. 5 buckets down, you better do something. Next slide. All right, so Ron, there you are. Ron will demonstrate that. This is an old slide, forget it. He's going to tell you what he's going to do. Let's look at the next slide. Use the best of both worlds. Move on. How much work can you drop down quickly? Well, no, let's stop here because I've been at it for close to an hour. It's time that Ron came in, and I'll pick it up from where we left off. All right. How's that? Is that okay? You got it? Listen, there's a lot of stuff, but we give it all to you. But hopefully, with these quick presentations, we give you the essence of what to look for. And it's not all that detail. And what's the message? So what is the important piece? So let's take 5 minutes and we get Ron organized, and we'll go from there.
Did you ever get to do that?
All right, Ron. There you go.
Yeah. I was looking for